Hello, welcome back to another episode of cEDH Bling Builds. So, Magic right now is a very weird spot. Consumer confidence is at a all-time low with the printing of the 30th anniversary edition packs, um, with the whole Bank of America scandal, with the overprinting of the product, and yeah, so a lot of people are jumping ship, and I think so am I. But that's neither here nor there. I come to you with a update. We're going to revisit Prosper Tomebound at the end of 2022. This is post-Bro, post-Jumpstart 2022. There's really nothing new to feature. And so when it's dry times like this, I like to revisit some of my favorites. Now, because I've been kind of trimming my collection, kind of just decreasing the volume of my collection, this Prosper deck is a little bit less fun. If you follow these Prosper videos, I think this is like the third or fourth one, the fourth update. It's just kind of direct and to the point, with no time for fun cards, fun combos, fun synergies, and that's okay. That's okay. I think a lot of players, when they build a deck, they kind of get hung up on their on their commander's ability, and then they just want to like mash 99 cards that synergize with that ability. That's a mistake. Um, Prosper goes plus, playing things out of that are removed from play. But if like you flip a card like that, like uh, light up the stage or something like that, and then you play that, and then you just flip another card like that, then what are you really doing? I think I think to really go plus off of Prosper is just have him be on board and try to flip cards that you could play that are like cheaply costed. Because if you're gonna like do this impulse draw synergy where you flip the card, play the card, to flip a card that you know allows you to flip a card and play a card, flip a card, play. It's just a never-ending cycle. There's not enough mana in the world to do something like that, and where it kind of leads nowhere. But Prosper does have a bread and butter combo, and I think it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And then the rest of the deck is just kind of Rakdos mid-range shenanigans, because in cEDH that's kind of where we're at right now. A lot of people pretend, or they're misled to think that Turbo Naws is the S tier strategy, and that's a lie. That's not true. No tournament is doing turn 2 ad Naws plays. It's not true. And when you play games outside of tournaments at the cEDH level, or even high power level, it's all stacks. Prosper struggles with stacks because he's a Rakdos Storm deck, but we'll do the best with what we got. If you didn't already know, Prosper is a 2 Rakdos, 1/4 with Death Touch. Nice. But he is unique with his ability, where at the beginning of your upkeep, end step, sorry, at the beginning of your end step, exile the top card of your library. Until the end of your turn, you may play that card. Also, whenever you play a card from exile, you create a treasure token. So that's that plus I'm talking about. And he's really unique. The minute that Wizards creates more of these ridiculous play from exile cards in like other colors, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Yu-Gi-Oh did that, and it's a little out of control. Just imagine playing a card from exile, it goes to the graveyard, playing from the graveyard, goes to exile, blah, blah, blah. It'll make like Underworld Breach even more ridiculous of a card. And also, as you become better, you start to realize like the graveyard is an extension of your hand, and so holding on to cards. A lot of newer players make this mistake. They place too much value on like a reliquary tower. No, just discard that shit. Just you want cards to be in your graveyard because the graveyard's an extension of your hand. And not to mention that more amateur players don't have as strong of a mana base, so just a land that taps for colorless, not very good. I'm rambling. Let's get into the deck tech. Where Prosper is strong is with his Doomsday pile, and so that is the bread and butter of this deck. Let's talk about that. So, Prosper, Doomsday. Assume that Prosper is on board. You're going to play Doomsday. If you didn't already know, a Doomsday kind of just reshuffles your graveyard and deck, and then you choose 5 cards from that pile and create a new deck. You put those cards in any order, exile the rest. And so, as long as you have a way to break your Doomsday pile, another strong Doomsday pairing is like a Malcolm Tibna. They are just commanders that inherently break the Doomsday pile. If you were playing back in the 80s, you needed a cantrip usually to break your Doomsday pile. But Prosper could break the Doomsday pile, especially the one that we're putting together. And so his pile of 5 will be a Final Fortune, a Jeska's Will, a Twin Flame, a Dualcaster Mage, and the 5th card could be whatever you might need. Okay? And so with the Final Fortune on the top, Prosper will flip it at the end, and then you immediately cast it, right? So you gotta have 2 red mana available at the minimum after you cast triple black Doomsday. It's a little mana intensive, right? Reliquary Tower is not going to cut it. So you cast the Final Fortune. Now you're going to take your extra turn. Okay. So you'll wind up drawing a Jeska's Will. You play the Jeska's Will. You'll get both abilities. Cool, that's a bonus. But what you're really concerned with is flipping the rest of the deck. And you'll flip into Twin Flame, Dualcaster Mage, and your 5th card in the pile. And you just proceed with your Twin Flame Dualcaster Mage combo. We do have some pieces that could be used as substitution, if just in case you lose some cards. There's no substitution for Final Fortune. There's no substitution for Dualcaster Mage, but we can substitute Jeska's Will with like a March of Reckless Joy, whether you hard cast it or pitch a red card. You're really just looking for the 2 top cards, the Twin Flame and the Dualcaster Mage, and you're off to the races, just in case you lose your Jeska's Will. And we can replace the Twin Flame with a Heat Shimmer. Very, very simple. Just a little bit more mana, but it's very important. We don't have too many win cons in this deck. The way I built this deck is to be able to play the mid-range game, and so we have like a lot of cards. They're just like 1-for-1 trades, or just cards that have synergies in the deck. If I top deck them, they're not bricks, right? They're cards I could play outside of a combo. Now, Saw in Half is another card that can work with Dualcaster Mage, but with Saw in Half, the Dualcaster Mage copies will not have haste the way Heat Shimmer and Twin Flame would give them haste. So this is one of these combos that you'd have to do at the end step, at your opponent's end before it comes back to you. And then, of course, these 3 cards act as, dockside doublers. We're in red, so we have Underworld Breach to do Underworld Breach shenanigans. Just too good of a card. We could lose Underworld Breach in our graveyard. We could lose Underworld Breach with our Prosper flip. But we do have ways to get it back, as we'll see soon. We have Magda, Brazen Outlaw. It's a token generator, and it has its ability to sacrifice 5 treasures, and then you search your library for an artifact or dragon. There are no dragons of note in this deck, but we have several artifacts that we could take advantage of in this deck. Of course, the main one is a Bull's Citadel. I was on the fence about the Bull's Citadel. I'm not that in love with the Bull's Citadel combo with top, and I'm so out of love with the combo that there's no Aetherflux Reservoir in a deck. That's a 3-card combo. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's amazing. I don't even think it's good enough for high power. It's kind of just bleh. So I don't like Aetherflux Reservoir as a card in 2022. But this acts as like a janky, ad nauseum. And then of course the Citadel will ETB, or whatever artifact or dragon will ETB, and it's uncounterable. They would have to stop the Magda. Top in its own is a good card in this deck. It has synergy with Prosper to manipulate the top decks. Another card Magna could go for. This little pile is all the cards that Magna could go for if the opportunity came. But we have Grinding Station. We're in Underworld Breach, but since we're not in blue for Brain Freeze, and we're not, we don't have really ways to accelerate Underworld Breach piles, we kind of have to go for the Grinding Station. You can mill your opponent out. I don't think the opportunity is going to come. Maybe if there's like an infinite treasure loop going on. Oh, don't forget about Bull's Citadel ability to sacrifice 10. Sacrifice 10 non-land permanents. So I think if you could do a treasure loop through an Underworld Breach, you could probably pull this off, right? Sacrifice 9 treasures, including the Citadel. If you have infinite treasure, recast the Citadel. It's clunky, but it's a thing that could happen. Same thing that this is a thing that could happen, milling your opponents, but don't bank on that. We're usually using our mana positive rocks to, use the Underworld Breach, play the rock, tap it for mana, sack it to the Grinding Station, mill 3, and keep going. So you're going to sack your mana positive rocks, for the most part, to feed your Underworld Breach. At Defense Grid, phenomenal card. We're not in blue. We're not in white for science effects. Defense Grid is an amazing card. Play it when you're about to combo off. The cost is very, very cheap at 2. If it's, Prosper flips it, it's very easy to cast at 2 generic mana. Great card. So good. I might have to upgrade this to the Urza's Legacy foil. Or maybe I'll get a number 69 serialized one, right? We have a Wishclaw's Talisman, another thing Magna could tutor up. In that case, we're just going to get the other half of our combo. We have Cloudstone Curio. Amazing card. Has nice synergies with Dockside for infinite treasures strategies. Again, we're in Rakdos, so we're very limited with the combos we have available. So Cloudstone makes the cut. If I had a third color, if Prosper was like a third color, I probably wouldn't go for a Cloudstone, but it is what it is. And so we could do abusive things with Dockside. If he makes the correct number of treasure, of course, with Cloudstone loops, among other things. We can use a Stitcher Supplier to enable that. The Stitcher Supplier will ETB, will bounce the Dockside. The Stitcher Supplier will mill 3, and bing, boom, bing, boom, bam, will feed a breach, yada, 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 get a ton of treasure. Good fun. Prospector is cheaply costed to do Cloudstone loops, but we could sack the Dockside if we have Underworld Breach going. sack the dockside for the breach, play the dockside with a breach, and rinse, wash, repeat as many times as you can to generate, mana to do the next part. We have Mayhem Devil, a phenomenal card on its own, with the ability to just start pinging people for sacking treasures, your opponent's sacking their fetch lands, whatever. Make smart plays. If you have a annoying hate bear you need to get rid of, maybe hold up your mana, hold up your fetch land. So some opponent uses their fetch land, and then you use your fetch land. That's 2 points of damage to like a hate bear. Little things like that. But of course, if you have infinite treasure, then GG. That's a wrap. You're just gonna infinitely ping your opponents. Very, very strong utility with a Mayhem Devil. Now, just in case we lose our dockside, all hope is not lost. We could do some mind goblin bullshit. Whether it's a Cloudstone loop or getting as much mana as we can through Underworld Breach and Skirk. Right? So he's like a bad dockside. There's some things we can do with infinite red, as we'll see. Again, he's just a bad dockside. He's in here as just a contingency plan. We're in 2 colors that the combos are not amazing. So we could use ribbons, right? We could dump infinite mana, infinite treasure into ribbons. Not the best card, especially at a sorcery speed, but we have cut as like a really, really piece of shit spot removal. Just in case an opponent lands like a Yasharn. I think Yasharn's like a 4/4 body, and so the cut could easily take care of the Yasharn. A couple of things really, really eat this deck alive. Rule of Law, granted, and Rule of Law creatures. But a Yasharn, Collector, Oof, and then, of course, an opposition agent. And so we want to be able to get rid of these things, especially Yasharn with his fat ass. So cut is fine. I don't like Exsanguinate and Torment of Hailfire. I think those are really bad cards, especially if you draw them outside of a combo. But at least cut won't be so dead, and then you could find it again later with ribbons if you have infinite mana. If you have infinite red through your Mind Goblin, then just keep 2 black available. Pump the infinite red and the 2 black, and you should be fine. Praetor's Grasp, amazing card. I can't say enough about this card. If you lose your Underworld Breach, you could just grab it from someone else. You could take your opponent off of their combo at its worst. Right? You're a good enough deck builder. You look around the table, you see the different generals on board, and you know what they do, right? So you know what's in their deck. And so during our own little Underworld Breach loops, we could just use our opponent's combo for ourselves. One of those combos being a Thoracle, right? Thoracle Consult. You can easily take an opponent's Thassa's Oracle and do the combo yourself with a Tainted Pact. Tainted Pact, as long as you could build your mana base around the Tainted Pact, you're fine. It's an amazing tutor, grabs up the other half of your combo at instant speed. That's very YOLO, so you gotta just say goodbye to everything you're gonna lose into exile. That's fine. And then, of course, like I said, we could do our Praetor's Grasp Tainted Pact combo, doing a Thoracle Consult, and it happens quite often, if you could believe that. It happens a lot. And then, of course, like I said already, and I'll say it again, the Praetor's Grasp could grab your opponent's Underworld Breach, just in case you lose yours, or you just want to play it a little bit earlier. Our creatures package, we have ourselves opposition agent, Dauthi Voidwalker, Professional Facebreaker, another treasure enabler, very, very strong. Now, this isn't the most aggressive deck, so I'm just going to be getting in whenever I can. So spot removal becomes important. Just don't be a fucking cowboy and start bang, bang, banging everything that comes on the board. Just kind of like spot remove the things that impede you from playing the game. I know I see that with casuals, they just like flip a lightning bolt, play the lightning bolt. It's like professional breaker, great combo enabler, and then a nice treasure synergy, prosper synergies. Grim Hireling, really good card, treasure enabler, and really bad creature removal. This could climb over a collector oof, right? You don't use pay with treasure. You pay with or rocks. You pay with land, but you will sacrifice like 2 treasure to right because I think oof is a 2/2, 1/2. He's not a 2/3. I forget. But yeah, but he can't get. But Grim Hireling won't be able to get rid of your Sharn, so that's still very problematic. And then another treasure enabler, Ragavan. He's weird, right? If you don't open with him, then he's trash because he doesn't get much work done mid to late game. And then of course, synergy with Prosper. So now, if you follow these videos, there's some missing creatures. Gonti is not in the deck anymore, even though Gonti is a really good card when you're doing Underworld Cloudstone Curia loops. Very, very, very good card. But at Force MC, double black, just not for me. The 2000 CMC Tybalt, not in the deck. And a couple of other of those exile from remove from play type of creatures, just not in the deck. We have Goblin Engineer, no Goblin Welder, a little too slow for me, in my opinion. I know there's like neat tricks you can do with a welder, like I don't know, pseudo spot remove some opponent's Staxy artifact and exchange it for Lotus Petal if it's in the graveyard. I don't know, but it's just a little too slow for me at its tap ability. I know Goblin Engineer has a tap ability, but at least he can ETB and get the party started. He can ETB and pitch the top, and then the mag deck get the Citadel, and then you have a combo right there. Or he could just sack a treasure and get back, I don't know, some other bum ass important artifact that's in your graveyard. Ritual creatures. We have a Simian Spirit Guide. We have a Berhi God of Storytelling. When we're doing our loops and combos, this is really, really good. But what we're really interested in is Berhi's backside. Harnfell, Horn of Plenty, Horn of Bounty. A little bit expensive at a 4 and a red, but at its best, this can also replace a Jessica's Well if you lose a Jessica's Well in your Doomsday combo. Oh, don't forget about March of Reckless Joy. That is also an outlet for infinite red mana. Just flip the deck and play the deck out. Dragon's Rage Channeler, really, really important card. I'm always like on the fence about Dragon's Rage, but in Prosper, it's actually really good with the ability to, manipulate the top deck for Prosper's flips. Kind of good, and then of course it just feeds the graveyard for your dockside, feeds the graveyard for your Underworld Breach loops, and it's a cheap costed creature during Cloudstone turns. Our counters package, counters, hard counters, soft counters. We have a Pyroblast, Red Elemental Blast, Deflecting Swat, Tybalt's Trickery, and Imp's Mischief. If you didn't already know, Imps Mischief, 1 and a black, instant. It's just pretty much a misdirection. It's a deflecting swat, whereas you pay life equal to that card's CMC. Our rituals we saw earlier, the Jessica's Ritual, but we have a Dark Ritual, the Jessica's Well. We have a Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, Calling the Weak, Rite of Filth, and a Rite of Flame. This deck is very hungry for black mana. This deck is hungry for some big black mana. Pause. But it's true. Between Necropotence, Appearance of the Abyss, and Ad Nauseam that we'll see later, the Bulls, the Citadel, the Doomsday. So you got to be able to just bukkake out black mana on demand. Our tutors, we have a Gamble, Vampiric Tutor, Demonic Tutor, Imperial Seal, a Yawgmoth Spell for some simple recursion. For our draw package, we have a Wheel of Fortune, Ad Nauseam, and Appear into the Abyss. Ad Nauseam, in a mid-range format that we're in right now, just in mid-range games, not amazing. But if the opportunity comes where I could just turbo out a win, I'm gonna try it. A good friend of mine, he makes a good point that in Ad Nauseam, because you have to counter the Ad Nauseam, could just bait out the best counter magic from your opponents, and so you just hold up 5, play the Ad Nauseam at their end before the turn comes back to you. They have to counter the Ad Nauseam. They can't let it resolve, and so that happens, and the turn comes back to you, and then you combo off. Oh, we're losing late. Wrapping these up, we have a Fire Covenant, our creature removal, a spot removal. We have a Fire Covenant, a Delayed Blast Fireball, the Foretell, synergizes with Prosper, that's nice. A Lightning Bolt, a Braid, and then this garbage-ass card, a Feed the Swarm, but it's the best we can do for removing enchantments at sorcery speed. Our enchantments, we have a Necropotence. I was thinking about Sticky Fingers, but this deck is not aggressive enough to take advantage of a Sticky Fingers, so it didn't make the cut. But I think it's a solid card. Our rocks, we have a Lotus Petal, Jewel Lotus, and an LED. Other colored rocks included Arcane Signet, Felwar Stone, Talisman of Indulgence. I don't have Rakdos Signet. I don't like Signets anymore. I kind of think they're been power crept by Arcane Signet. I just don't think they're good cards anymore. That's just my opinion. We have Chrome Mox, Mox Opal, Mox Diamond, and a Mox Amber. It's really, really nice when Prosper could flip a Mox Amber and get a free treasure. It's cool. And I think there are 3 other legendary creatures in this deck to take advantage of Mox Amber, so it's not as dead. Plus, Prosper is just one of those decks that you kind of just want to rush him out, so he should be on board quickly. So again, Mox Amber is not as dead. Other rocks, we have Grim Monolith. It's not as strong as of a card it used to be 2-3 years ago. Isochron Dramatic Reversal combos are not the best anymore, but it's here primarily to do our grinding station loops. And then at 2 generic CMC, it's fine to flip with a Prosper. It's easy to cast and get your treasure. Mana Vault, Mana Crypt, and a Soul Ring. And then wrapping things up with our lands, we have all 7 Fetcherinos. We have 1 Swamp, 1 Snow Swamp. We have 1 Mountain, one Snow Mountain. We have one shock and our duel. The other duels, we have a Luxury Suite, Sulphur Spring, Tainted Peak. Don't sleep on the cycle. To go fast, Berber, we have Ancient Tomb, City of Traders, Phyrexian Tower, and then our Rainbow Lands. We have very basic, not basic, maybe there's some things you haven't seen in a while. We have a Gemstone Cavern, Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Forbidden Orchard, Spire of Industry, a lot of treasure, won't be dead, Mana Confluence, Gemstone Mine, Tarnished Citadel, and a City of Brass. I've been contemplating whether or not in this deck I wanted to use like a Plaza of Heroes. That's something I'll consider, but not that important. It's just 2-color deck. And there you have it. You have Prosper Tomebound in late 2022, after I cleaned up my collection and getting ready to jump ship, baby. Sleeves, Anime Girl sleeve. I don't know. What do you want from me? Okay. Bye-bye.